Stop burning thousands of hard-earned dollars on custom-built safe queens just to drag a heavy and completely outdated piece of timber up a brutal mountain trail. Most hunters still believe that humping 10 pounds of traditional blued steel through the freezing backcountry is just the absolute price you have to pay to get serious Magnum terminal performance. And that stubborn mindset costs them completely blown-out lower backs, exhausted lungs, and a totally missed opportunity when their legs finally give out right at 10,000 feet. But the aerospace revolution has completely taken over the firearms industry right now, flooding the factory floor with autoclaved carbon fiber, advanced polymer modularity, and peak alloy metallurgy that delivers sub-minute of angle accuracy straight out of the box. So listen up and lock it in, because we are officially pioneering the new era of North American precision by breaking down the absolute top 7 ultimate hunting rifles of 2026. Kicking off our list at number 7 is the Christensen Arms Ridgeline FFT. This rig is the absolute bleeding edge of extreme weight reduction. When you are humping up a vertical incline at 10,000 feet, every single ounce feels like a brick. Christensen solves this by using their flash forge technology to build a platform that can handle full-sized Magnum cartridges while weighing in at an incredibly light 5.45 pounds. It is an aerospace-engineered featherweight that will not break your back on a week-long backcountry deployment. Under the hood, the Ridgeline uses their Model 14 action, which smartly mirrors the universal Remington 700 footprint for massive aftermarket support. But the real magic is how they handle the barrel harmonics. They start with a hand-lapped 416R stainless steel core, turn it down to a pencil-thin profile, and wrap it under massive tension with their proprietary carbon fiber. This gives you the extreme rigidity and heat dissipation of a heavy target barrel, but with practically zero weight penalty. That means your groups stay perfectly tight even after rapid follow-up shots. When it is time to send it downrange, the Trigger Tech trigger breaks like a glass rod snapping in a freezer, right at a crisp 2.25 pounds. It slings a 6.5 PRC with absolute authority, turning a heavy hitter into a highly manageable tack driver. Thanks to the factory-installed side baffle muzzle brake, the recoil feels like a polite tap on the shoulder rather than an angry mule kick to the collarbone. It is a shooter-friendly setup that inspires total confidence when your heart is pounding out of your chest. But let's be real. Nothing is perfect in the firearms world. The deal breaker here is a frustrating performance quirk when running specific high-pressure Magnum loads. We have seen some localized quality control issues where extraction gets a little sticky, which is the last thing you want when a massive bull elk is staring you down and you need a fast second shot. It sets you back around $2,050, making it a serious investment. Still, if you are an ounce counter looking for high-tech carbon fiber supremacy, the Ridgeline FFT is hard to ignore. Moving on to number 6, we are stepping into the top tier of European craftsmanship with the Sako 90s Adventure. Sako builds rifles that are absolute workhorses, and this specific model is engineered specifically for punishing high-altitude environments. Tipping the scales at roughly 6.5 pounds, it provides a bespoke, custom-tier experience straight out of the box. It is the kind of rig you grab when failure simply is not an option. Diving into the guts of this machine, Sako ditched the old controlled round feed and upgraded to a massively robust push feed bolt action featuring dual plunger ejectors. This is a massive deal for field reliability. Instead of just lazily popping the empty shell out, those twin ejectors violently force the spent brass out of the ejection port with extreme authority. It is a critical safety feature when you are operating in freezing conditions where ice and debris can cause standard single ejector setups to choke up and cause a stovepipe. Shooting this finished masterpiece is an absolute dream, especially because of the revolutionary trigger pack. You can adjust the pull weight yourself across 5 different settings without ever removing the action from the stock, dialing it anywhere from a feathery 2 pounds 1 ounce up to a heavy 4 pounds 2 ounces for heavy gloved winter hunts. The break snaps perfectly clean, like stepping on a dry pine cone in the dead of winter. It feeds on solid copper rounds without a hiccup, and despite its relatively lightweight, the carbon fiber reinforced fiberglass stock soaks up the recoil until it just feels like a firm shove from a heavy door. Look, there is no denying the elite performance, but here is the deal breaker for the average working man. The damage to your wallet is absolutely brutal, commanding a street price hovering right around $2,900. It requires extremely deep pockets to get into this club, and honestly, the proprietary metric 15x1 muzzle threads make finding standard American suppressors a total headache. It is an incredible piece of hunting hardware, but you are definitely paying a massive premium for that European pedigree. Stepping up the game to number 5, we have the European standard for smooth operation, the Tikka T3X Superlite. Built over in Finland, this absolute workhorse tips the scales at just 5 pounds 14 ounces, making it an absolute dream for deep timber tracking. Eats 6.5 Creedmoor for breakfast and delivers custom tier accuracy straight out of the box, proving that you do not need to take out a second mortgage to get surgical precision in the backcountry. Under the hood, we need to talk about the solid steel recoil lug. Unlike cheaper rifles that use aluminum or rely on a plastic stock recess to absorb the shock, the Tikka embeds a massive chunk of stainless steel directly into the synthetic stock that mates perfectly with a machine groove in the bottom of the action. This totally eliminates flex during the firing sequence, ensuring perfect lockup and guaranteeing that your zero never shifts even after taking a brutal beating on rocky terrain. The single-stage trigger on this rig breaks cleanly, like an icicle snapping off a frozen roof in sub-zero weather. When you sling lead downrange, the recoil pushes straight back with a dull, heavy thump, rather than a sharp, punishing crack. It runs beautifully, and the massively widened ejection port means you can top-load a single cartridge on the fly without fumbling around when the pressure is on. Look, I know the fanboys will hate this, but we need to talk about the ugly truth. The deal breaker here is the base synthetic stock, which, despite having inserts in the rear, still feels hollow and cheap, like you are holding a child's plastic toy instead of a serious hunting tool. Sets you back around $1,599, which is fair, but you will probably want to replace that factory furniture eventually. This platform is solid, but wait until you see the absolute monster we have waiting at number 1. Now we get serious, because number 4 brings the classic walnut and blued steel back from the dead with the Browning X Bolt 2 Hunter. Most guys think a traditional wood stock rig has to weigh as much as a boat anchor, but this masterpiece tips the scales at a highly manageable 6.625 pounds. It is built for the purist who wants that warm, classic aesthetic but absolutely demands modern, rugged performance. Pushing heavy 300 Winchester Magnum rounds out of a 22-inch barrel, it delivers totally devastating terminal performance on massive game without destroying your mobility. Taking a look at the controls, you absolutely need to understand how the safety mechanism operates on this rig. It features a top tang mounted safety that physically locks the bolt handle firmly in the closed position, completely preventing thick brush from snagging and ripping your action open while you are tracking through dense timber. But Browning engineered a dedicated bolt unlock button right on the top of the bolt lever itself. This genius addition allows you to safely cycle the action and completely unload a live chamber while the primary safety remains fully engaged, eliminating the chance of a negligent discharge. when your fingers are completely frozen. Running the brand new factory DLX adjustable trigger is an absolute revelation for a hunting gun. It drops the firing pin with zero creep, breaking like a fragile piece of chalk in your bare hands right at a clean 3 pounds. When you send it, the thick Inflex recoil pad does some serious heavy lifting, turning the usually punishing kick of a Magnum cartridge into a slow, rolling wave against your shoulder. The incredibly short 60-degree bolt throw is lightning fast, keeping your knuckles completely clear of your low-mounted optics during a rapid cycle. Honestly, there is a frustrating omission here that drives modern shooters crazy. The deal breaker on this beautiful rifle is the totally slick, unthreaded muzzle right out of the factory box. If you want to run a suppressor to save your hearing or cut down that muzzle rise even further, you have to haul this thing to a custom gunsmith and pay extra money just to get it threaded, which is incredibly annoying in 2026. Street price is right around $1,200, making it a stellar investment if you value old-school craftsmanship with a modern engine. Entering the elite tier at number 3, we have the ultimate pioneer of extreme value, the Ruger American Gen 2. This rifle completely obliterates its predecessor and absolutely dominates the entry to mid-tier market, tipping the scales at a highly manageable 6.46 pounds. It delivers premium weather resistance and custom tier features for absolute pennies on the dollar. Feeds on .308 Winchester with total reliability, making it an incredibly versatile tool for basically any North American big game you want to track down. Looking at the mechanics, you have to understand the science behind the aggressive spiral fluting on this 20-inch cold hammer forged tube. They do not just carve out those deep spiral grooves to make it look cool at the range. By removing that specific steel mass, they drastically increase the overall surface area of the barrel. It acts like a massive heat sink to pull thermal energy away from the chamber fast, paired with a massive 3-lug bolt that gives you a lightning-fast 70-degree lift. This setup prevents heat mirage from blurring your optics and keeps your rapid follow-up shots on target. Settling in behind the rifle, the Ruger Marksman adjustable trigger breaks like a dried-out chicken bone dough, right at a steady 4 pounds straight from the factory. When you touch it off, the factory-installed radial muzzle brake totally tames the beast, making the kick feel like a firm push from a heavy mattress instead of a sharp jab. It runs reliably, and the brand new modular polymer stock lets you completely adjust the length of pull and comb height so your eye aligns with the glass instantly. But here is the truth. You are still buying a budget rifle, and it shows in the ergonomics. The deal breaker here is the incredibly stiff, rough zipper feel of the bolt when you cycle it out of the box. It binds up if you do not push it perfectly straight, demanding some serious break in time before it smooths out. The damage to your wallet is right around $729, making it an absolute steal if you can look past the gritty bolt throw. Closer to the crown, coming in hot at number 2, we have a total mountain country disruptor, the Weatherby Model 307 Alpine CT. For half a decade, the European market completely dominated the ultralight tier, but Weatherby came out swinging to absolutely shatter that hierarchy. Tipping the scales right around 6.1 pounds, this rig delivers custom tier performance without the massive custom shop markup, spitting out the high-pressure 7mm Backcountry cartridge. It represents an unbelievable ratio of kinetic energy to physical weight for those brutal vertical climbs. Diving into the engineering, you need to understand the science behind the BSF carbon fiber barrel on this platform. Instead of just lazily wrapping a steel core in a solid block of epoxy and carbon, BSF uses a tensioned carbon fiber sleeve that actually leaves a physical air gap completely surrounding the stainless steel liner. This open architecture promotes extreme heat dissipation by allowing ambient air to cool the steel directly. That means when you are sending multiple rounds downrange, you completely eliminate the vertical stringing that ruins your groups on standard wrapped barrels. Ripping this gun feels like pure aggression. The Trigger Tech Field Trigger drops the firing pin flawlessly, breaking exactly like a thin sheet of winter ice, shattering under a heavy work boot. When you touch off that 80,000 high round, the factory radial muzzle brake does serious work. Instead of a bone-breaking jolt, the kick translates into a firm, aggressive shove straight into your shoulder pocket. It cycles incredibly smooth, utilizing a toolless takedown bolt with an M16 style extractor that bites down on the rim and refuses to let go. Look, nothing gets a free pass on my bench. The deal breaker here is absolutely the ergonomics of the heavily fluted bolt body and skeletonized handle. When the temperature drops, that aggressive machine work looks incredibly cool. But if you are running the gun barehanded in freezing rain, those sharp edges act like a cheese grater on your palm during a fast cycle. Expect to drop right around $21.99 to put this in your safe. It is a serious chunk of change, but you get a bespoke mountain rifle that rivals rigs costing twice as much. Taking the absolute top spot on our list, the reigning king of the 2026 Backcountry is the Wilson Combat NULA Model 20. Tipping the scales at an incredibly light 5.17 pounds. It takes the throne because it gives you the ultralight, high-altitude capability of the Weatherby at number 2, but combines it with the hand-fitted, flawless mechanical reliability of the Browning at number 4. It is the absolute pinnacle of modern lightweight precision, built specifically to dominate steep elevation without completely burning out your legs. Under the hood, you have to look at the extreme precision of the custom receiver. Instead of just milling it out on a standard machine, Wilson Combat uses electrical discharge machining to wire cut the receiver directly from a solid billet of 4140 steel. This highly advanced process guarantees absolute concentricity between the bolt and the bore, meaning your lockup is mathematically perfect. Paired with an incredibly thin featherweight profile 416R stainless steel barrel that flares out just enough to support 5/8 by 24 threads, you get an ultra-light rig that is fully ready for direct thread modern suppressors. It feeds on a wide variety of rounds, from 6.5 Creedmoor all the way to heavy-hitting 358 Winchester, delivering true sub-minute of angle accuracy every single time. The Timney Elite Hunter trigger is an absolute masterpiece, dropping the pin exactly like a heavy glass window shattering on a concrete floor. Because the rifle is so incredibly light, the thick recoil pad works overtime, soaking up the blast so the kick feels like a deep, heavy punch from a boxing glove rather than a bone-jarring crack. Settling into the AG Composites carbon fiber stock feels incredibly natural, balancing perfectly in the hand like a premium fencing sword. Unlike the old-school Kevlar stocks that had to be laid by hand, this modern stock uses precision pillar bedding to ensure the barrel is completely free-floated, guaranteeing your point of impact never shifts no matter how brutal the environment gets. The damage to your wallet sits right around $2,995. But when you demand the absolute best general-purpose mountain rifle ever created, this is the undisputed champion. Look, the market has completely shifted. The days of lugging around a 10-pound block of wood and steel just to get decent accuracy are completely over. Whether you are dropping massive cash on a custom tool or picking up a budget-friendly tack driver, there is absolutely zero excuse for missing your shot in 2026. It all comes down to finding the platform that fits your mission and putting in the hours behind the glass. Train hard, stay safe, and I